15 years waiting for the migratory bird is the most unforgettable drama from my childhood. After 15 years in a loveless marriage, I was reborn. I was reborn right at the moment when I was pregnant and discovered West Jew's affair with his assistant. At that time, I was in the middle of divorcing him. Just because he wanted to secretly give the opportunity that belonged to me to his assistant, and also planned to promote her to be his chief secretary. Because of this matter, I made such a fuss that I ended up calling the police. It also led to the most serious argument we've had since getting married. In the heat of the moment, I even slapped him across the face. He slammed the door and left, and I immediately rushed to the hospital to have an abortion. Putting an end to this farce with my own hands, looking at the date on my phone, I realized I had returned to the day of catching the affair, the 3rd anniversary of my marriage to West Jew, ignoring my dizzy head. I rushed back to the apartment where we lived. Hearing the intense voices inside through the door, I dialed 110 without hesitation. When the police officer arrived, I pointed with reddened eyes and reported, "Officer, the 2 people inside are in an improper relationship. I'm reporting them," as the door was knocked open. The police officer quickly took control of that shameless couple. Looking at the scattered intimate items all over the floor, my numb heart still felt a twinge of pain. "I have a marriage certificate with this man. Whatever they did, officer, you saw it too. They were still kissing right in front of us." The police officer seemed accustomed to such situations and calmly continued asking the assistant, "What about her, providing sexual services?" I immediately said. The police officer's gaze shifted among the 3 of us. He seemed accustomed to such situations and wasn't particularly surprised, but his eyes revealed a longing for a 3rd-class merit award. West Jew suppressed his anger and explained for the sake of saving face, "Officer, it's really a misunderstanding. We're friends. Look, here are the photos we took." "What kind of friends?" "Friends called from the hotel's little cards, right?" West Jew glared at me fiercely and quickly pulled out his phone from his pocket to show a photo of the 3 of us together. "All right, I understand the situation now. You caught him cheating. Besides the affair, has he shown any violent behavior? If not, please sign here." The police officer also understood what was going on. The excitement in his eyes gradually faded as he handled the matter in a routine manner. "Aside from the affair, are there any other serious incidents? They're having an affair, and it's a violent affair. Isn't having an affair violent enough?" I said with a grimace. The police quickly resolved the dispute between us and left. Before leaving, the officer earnestly advised West Jew, "Brother, how can you not control yourself? Your wife is pregnant, and you still can't settle down." Ignoring West Jew, who was still in a daze, I slipped back into the guest room. When I came out again, the living room was already filled with smoke. Thankfully, the windows weren't open, or else the kind-hearted aunties in the neighborhood would have called the police to rescue us. West Jew was sitting in the guest room with his back to me, surrounded by piles of cigarette ash. Seeing the messy living room, I felt a wave of irritation. Maybe it was the sensitivity of pregnancy, but my pent-up frustration erupted along with the smoke. I rushed over and vomited directly on West Jew. West Jew, who had been puffing away at his cigarette, was so startled that he immediately jumped back. He turned his sharply chiseled, handsome face toward me in a daze, still fuming. I had no intention of letting him off easy. After vomiting, I even wiped my mouth with his shirt. Even though I treated him like this, he still didn't put out the cigarette in his hand. Watching his clenched fist, I slipped into the bathroom just before he exploded, rinsed my mouth, and looked at my collagen-filled face. In this lifetime, no one could be crazier than her. It was spring in Rongcheng, the most comfortable time of the year. West Jew opened the window, and the warm breeze diluted the smoke as he sat gloomily on the sofa drying his hair. I naturally wouldn't pay attention to his bad temper. I almost wished he would go out right now to find those mistresses. The more evidence I collect, the more money I get. "West Jew, let's get a divorce. I'll see you at the Civil Affairs Bureau in trance at 2 p.m. tomorrow. If you don't show up, I'll look down on you. You're not a real man." Without giving him a chance to speak, I directed the nanny to continue working and added, "Don't worry, I won't leave you with any lingering concerns. I'll have an abortion tomorrow morning to terminate your child." From now on, we'll go our separate ways and never see each other again." Hearing this, Westjew finally reacted. His eyes seemed to spit fire as he threw down the towel, sprang to his feet, and stared at me intently, as if trying to detect any hint of hesitation on my face. Unfortunately for him, he was disappointed. My expression showed nothing but calm and uncontrollable excitement, the excitement of breaking free from a cage. The longing for freedom, it's something no one can suppress. After a moment, Lena Yu, the tactic of playing hard to get is no longer effective. I wasn't in the mood to argue with him. So I ignored him and went straight back to my room to schedule tomorrow's surgery and contacted my lawyer to draft the divorce agreement. When he realized I was serious, he immediately appeared at the guest room door, frantically pounding on it. While pounding, he yelled, "Lena Yu, I just made a mistake that any man could make. Why are you being so petty? The company just went public, and now you want a divorce. Are you out of your mind? Do you have any idea how disgusting you looked when you just vomited? You even threw up on me. I've taken 3 showers and still can't wash off your stench. You disgust me. If you still want to be Mrs. Jew, stop causing trouble. Have you forgotten? You haven't worked a single day since we graduated from college. Do you really think any company would hire you now? Go out and take a look. Fresh graduates these days only earn 3,000 yuan a month. Do you honestly believe you can support yourself with your current skills? Stop being so stubborn." I couldn't stand listening to his foul mouth any longer. So I opened the door and slapped him hard across the face. My hand even hurt from the impact. It turns out the physics textbooks were right. Force really is mutual. Westjew, don't make me sick. Just looking at your hypocritical face now makes me want to throw up yesterday's dinner. Do you know what I hate most about you? Your chauvinism. What? Is there some throne in your family waiting for you to inherit? Open your eyes. The Qing dynasty fell long ago. Did you think you could still have multiple wives? In my previous life, Westjew had also shamelessly said disgusting things. At the time, I was determined to give our child a family and gritted my teeth to endure the humiliation. But who would have thought that this very resentment would end up costing me my life? His friends had long known about the existence of his assistant. In their circle, such things were commonplace. As long as it didn't cause a scene, people usually turned a blind eye, some even egged them on. It was through this ambiguous and unclear relationship that they eventually ended up together. In my previous life, it took me 15 years to realize that he never loved me. He was with me to better develop his company, make more money, and to show his former unattainable love interest how foolish it was not to choose him back then. Later, when his former love interest returned, Westjew wasn't satisfied and brought her into the fold as well. No matter how hard they tried, Westjew, his former love interest, and his other mistresses never had any children. When did he set his sights on me? It was probably that one banquet. I am known in our circle for being gentle and refined, and my mother raised me well from a young age with the goal of marrying me into a wealthy family. At that time, I still cherished my dreams. But before I could even set sail, Westjew crushed them. After marriage, my dreams were shattered. I was never the woman in his heart. He was indifferent and neglectful toward me. The prolonged emotional abuse left me with neurasthenia and drove me to attempt suicide multiple times. He used our child to repeatedly awaken my maternal instincts, forcing me to remain in this wretched world. It was only later that I realized it wasn't that I wasn't good enough, but that he had never truly cared about me, so naturally he couldn't give me the respect and affection I wanted. Even when I died tragically in a car accident in the mountains, he was still embracing his white moonlight with his assistant in tow, attending someone else's golden wedding banquet. He was helping his white moonlight expand her network, planning to take her art exhibition to the next level. In Westjew's heart, I was nothing more than a stepping stone for his climb upward, a tool to deal with his mistresses, and a top-tier nanny who had to be available 24/7 when facing me. He would repeatedly say things like, "Forget it, I won't say anymore, you wouldn't understand anyway. And why are you asking about these things? A woman's duty is to take care of her husband and children. Instead of wasting time on this, you should think about how to give me a son." His face always showed impatience, disdain, and disgust. Later on, Even a couple of words would set him off, and he would eventually slam the door and leave. Lena, do you have to be so unreasonable? Aren't you happy enough? Look at Xiao Wang from the company. She's 8 months pregnant and still working. Why? Because her husband can't provide her with a life of luxury at home. You don't have to work, you don't have to grovel to clients. What more do you want? To this day, all I remember is that line from graduation, "I'll take care of you." After graduation, I got married and never worked again. Becoming a housewife, I have no social life, no friends, no interests, no desires. In my previous life, after the child was born, I handled everything alone. Feeding, diapering, illnesses, hospital visits. By then, my radiance had long faded. I was aged and worn out, with hair falling out in clumps. What greeted me was not comfort, but even greater malice. He tells everyone that I must have cultivated 10 lifetimes worth of blessings to meet him, and that only he could allow me to stay at home without working and still live a carefree life. He constantly manipulated me emotionally, always enjoying my services, while tossing and turning in the arms of various women in his midnight dreams, and even hypocritically spouting flattery about successful career women. As my thoughts returned to the present, I sneered at him. This man I had loved for 15 years, whose eyes still held that same arrogant, unyielding pride. All right, you're always right. It's me who's never satisfied. It's me who has the problem. It's all my fault, okay? Are you happy now? Since things have come to this, let's just get divorced as soon as possible. I'll let you go, and you let me go. West Jew wore a mocking expression, casually changing his clothes as if he hadn't been the one arguing and angry just moments before. He seemed convinced that I wouldn't actually go through with the divorce, then lit another cigarette. You know I only like you when you're well behaved. All right now, stop making a scene. I have a shareholders meeting at the company today. I'll bring you something you like when I come back in a few days. After saying this, West Jew wanted to escape this troublesome situation, but I just won't let him have his way. I took the agreement out of my pocket and threw it on the table. Wait. Sign it before you leave. After West Jew finished reading the agreement in a fit of rage, he laughed bitterly. Fine. You're really something, aren't you? Have you been wanting a divorce all along? Are you seeing someone else? I listened to his words and without saying a word, I gave him another big slap, rubbing my sore wrist. I sneered. We're both doing just fine. West Jew stared at the agreement in a daze, wondering when they had reached this point. He had always been thinking about the white moonlight abroad, but he never once thought about getting a divorce. He was truly greedy for the warmth that Lena you brought him. What? Is it so hard to put pen to paper, so reluctant to leave me? West Jew, can you stop being so pathetic and not make me look down on you? West Jew was the best debater in college. He was extremely arrogant, with every cell in his body screaming his male chauvinism, especially towards me. He never wanted to lower his head and admit his mistakes, and he never let himself lose out to me. "It's just signing a paper, right? See you at the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow." "Whoever doesn't show up is a dog," West Jew roared loudly, just a light provocation from me, and he went crazy like a mad dog, wishing he could tear me apart. At the same time, I was also showing my determination. This divorce is final, and I won't keep the child in my belly either. Fine. Let's meet at the Civil Affairs Bureau tomorrow morning when it opens. If you... Before I could finish my sentence, West Jew spun out like a top, leaving only the sound of a slammed door behind him. In my previous life, this divorce never went through. Relatives took turns persuading me, saying that for the sake of the child in my belly, for the company, and for the bigger picture, I couldn't get divorced. Everyone tells me that once the child is born, all of this will pass, as long as there is a child. The man's entire life will be tied to me. I heard their sweet talk. But more so because I still deeply loved him at that time. But in the end, what did I get in return? It was the man's even more unrestrained mockery and insults. Eventually, the story developed to the point where he had a child with another woman. I don't know how, but the child was lost. And he even asked me to help his mistress during her postpartum confinement. But if I don't go, he'll hit me right in front of our child. threatening that he'll abandon us and that all our beautiful life will vanish like a bubble. It's precisely because I'm afraid my own child will get hurt that I compromise and accommodate him again and again. But in this lifetime, I don't want that anymore. Taking one wrong step feels like falling into an abyss. The kind of shattering pain is etched deeply in my memory. A man's greatest charm lies in a woman's fantasies. When those fantasies shatter, he's just an ordinary human being after all. After I had completely seen the true nature of men, I was already trapped by an invisible, enormous net, and could no longer be that vibrant self. I could only watch her and her white moonlight entangle with each other until old age, while I, like a clown in their relationship, watched them live together, watched their joys and sorrows, and in the end, licked my wounds like a trapped beast. After tidying myself up, I went to the hospital, without any hesitation left. By the time I came out, that vibrant life had already passed away. In my previous life, she was my weakness, holding me back and making it impossible to move forward. This time, I personally pulled out this deepest piece of soft bone that was stuck in me, hoping that both of us could have a better future, given a second chance at life. Now is the time of internet transformation. With live streaming sales just beginning to rise, opportunities to soar are everywhere. And I am determined to shake off the disgusting scumbag and climb to the top to build my own empire. At the Civil Affairs Bureau, it was almost closing time, and I still hadn't seen West Jew show up. Losing my patience, I made a phone call. That bastard must have just woken up. And I could hear a few bursts of laughter like clanging bells beside him. It was clearly his assistant's voice. Lena, I just signed a big deal with the CEO of Hung Tai yesterday. Let's stop fighting. Okay. Once this deal goes through, our son's entire future will be secured. Ivy already had the abortion. There's only half an hour left before the Civil Affairs Bureau closes. Get over here now. Without waiting for his response, I hung up the phone and immediately blocked his number. Just before the Civil Affairs Bureau closed, I finally saw my soon-to-be ex-husband. The staff at the Civil Affairs Bureau pulled out a handful of sunflower seeds, closely watching every move between him and me. You're doing just fine. Huh? Who gave you the right to lay a hand on my child? What gives you the authority to hit him? The bastard shook me violently, and I slapped him right back. His eyes were bloodshot as he turned his head away, the bulging veins on his forehead betraying the fury raging inside him. You said signing those papers was for my sake, but I doubt it. You say you're tired. Where exactly did you wear yourself out? On some other girl's bed, I bet. Why shouldn't I have the abortion? It's a part of my body. While you're out there partying and playing out your ridiculous fantasy of the rose and the moonlight, getting rid of this burden is the smartest choice compared to staying with a fool like you. West Jew's eyes were bloodshot. If it weren't for the secretary beside him holding him back, his fist would have already smashed my head open. I've told you we're just putting on a show. Why won't you believe me? I promoted her because her father has a cooperative relationship with me, and her abilities meet the company's recruitment standards. Why are you so narrow-minded? It's your own pregnancy sensitivity. You've always been like this. When we first started dating, you loved making a big deal out of nothing. Always suspicious and paranoid. No matter what I went out to do, you'd follow me. You just don't trust me. The people nearby, hearing West Jew's accusations, all looked at me with some reproach. I was so angry that I sneered. This person's mouth is just like a garbage bin on the street. Any disgusting words can come out of it. The exact same gift, the perfume on the clothes, the strands of hair, the lipstick marks, and these photos. Which of these can be considered me wronging you? I had already prepared in advance and printed out the photos of them hugging and kissing that day, then threw them at West Jew. Slap. Dozens of indecent photos were scattered on the ground like falling snow. Many people covered their eyes upon seeing the intimate poses of the man and woman in the photos, and some even began to comment, how dare this man accuse the woman of being schizophrenic? I think he's the hypocritical scoundrel. Exactly. Beautiful. I support your decision to divorce. If you don't, we'll all look down on you. The secretary next to West Jew was like a monkey on Flower Fruit Mountain, hopping up and down as he picked up his boss's indecent photos and stuffed them into his briefcase. This is the divorce agreement you signed yesterday. We've already divorced through mutual agreement. Today is just about going through the formalities to get the divorce certificate. What gives you the right to still demand that I be your faithful wife and bear your children? It's still broad daylight, and you're already drowning yourself in drink and daydreaming. I directly took out the divorce agreement from my bag and showed it to everyone gathered around watching the commotion. Many people took out their phones and discovered West Jew's identity. Some people who were just watching the drama even called in the paparazzi. These paparazzi were no pushovers. They immediately started snapping photos of West Jew, afraid they might miss the biggest scoop. West Jew's face turned pale, then red, and in the end, he had to pay a hefty sum to get rid of the paparazzi. 6. Escorted by the secretary, we finally made it to the staff cubicle. You called these paparazzi, didn't you? You set me up. Looking at West Jew's furious face, I only realized how wrong I had been before. Even now, he still believes he hasn't done anything wrong. I just came to my senses in time, late at night, when my stomach illness flared up and the pain nearly made me pass out. It was pouring rain outside. I called you, but all I heard was your voice with someone else. Where were you when I needed you the most? You knew I was having severe pregnancy symptoms, yet you still went out to check into a hotel with your mistress, and I caught you, just because I'm carrying your child. Do you think you've trapped me for life and can disrespect me? West Jew, don't forget that I was once a graduate of a top-tier university, the sales champion at the company, earning at least 10,000 yuan a month. Your startup funds came from my savings over the years and my dowry. Because of you, I've become a worn-out housewife, who will repay me for my lost youth. At this point, I truly couldn't control my tears of emotion. I no longer wanted to look at his hypocritical face. So I took the divorce documents from my bag and handed them to the staff. I've said it before, this is just who I am. If you weren't willing, you didn't have to marry me back then. I never forced you to marry me. He lowered his eyes for the first time and muttered a few words under his breath. Even at this moment, West Jew still doesn't think he's done anything wrong, and is still making excuses for his past mistakes. Yes, I've finally seen you for who you are. And I don't want to be entangled with you anymore. You clearly can't forget the white moonlight who abandoned you, yet you're pulling this stunt with a substitute. What kind of cooperation do you have with your assistant's father? Her father is just a security guard at your company. What kind of cooperation could you possibly have? I looked at Secretary West Jew's terrified eyes and continued, you know perfectly well that I'm in my first trimester, with low folic acid levels requiring daily hospital visits for pregnancy-preserving injections, yet you still chose this time to place your little assistant in a key department of the company. You even allowed her to send me provocative messages and photos. West Jew, even a rabbit will bite when cornered. Don't you think everything you've done is utterly disgusting? West Jew looked at my grief-stricken eyes, timidly opened his mouth, and still stubbornly insisted, this is all your own fault. I've long told you that you'll never compare to the person in my heart. Can't we just live peacefully like this? Why must you keep pushing like this, suppressing the urge to vomit? I slapped him hard again. Every word you say and everything you do now disgusts me. Getting pregnant with your child is the biggest mistake of my life. You're arguing with me so much now. Does that mean you don't want to divorce me? The way you cling to me is truly despicable. Finally, I was able to let out all the pent-up frustration that had been building up for years by saying all of that in one breath. West Jew is such an arrogant person. I've already spoken to him so bluntly and even slapped him 3 times hard. There's no way he would reconcile with me now. Fine, remember what you said today. Let's get divorced right now. From now on, we go our separate ways. Whoever begs the other will be the other's grandson. Under the stunned gaze of the Civil Affairs Bureau staff, I finally got the little red book I had been longing for. I was finally free, the moment I got the divorce certificate. I immediately turned and walked away without looking back, afraid that West Jew behind me would catch up and take another bite out of me. The entertainment reporters captured the entire dramatic divorce scene and rushed to release the news as soon as they returned, although a few entertainment reporters later broke the story. It eventually faded into obscurity after even more explosive scandals were revealed. After the divorce, looking at the 9-figure breakup fee, stocks, and bonds added to my bank account, I quietly put the marital home up for sale and then effortlessly moved to Hangzhou, where I bought a spacious luxury apartment. My divorce from West Ju has been the talk of the town, and my assistant thought she had a chance to move up in the world. So she begged West Ju to buy her a bunch of expensive things. But this woman, who is so good at playing dumb, had no idea that I was no longer the timid and submissive person I used to be. One of the properties was allocated to me, and it happened to be where West Ju's assistant was living. That property was no exception. I listed it for rent. When the real estate agent went to check it out, they found the assistant in the middle of a heated argument with someone else and immediately called the police. I left the whole matter in the hands of the agency. Later, when the agent called to update me, I found out that he had gone to the property with a group of burly men. To vent my anger, the agent even specially customized a banner just for the assistant. The mistress uses the rich man's money to support a toy boy. How impressive! The incident is still causing a huge stir and even made it into the local social news. The elderly folks in the neighborhood can't stop gossiping about it whenever they have nothing else to do. No wonder the original wife wants a divorce. How shameless! Living in the house provided by the husband and using his money to support a toy boy. How come she gets to have all the good things? That guy isn't a good person either. I heard that all the startup capital back then was provided by his first wife. Later, when he became successful, he started his first wife for not being good looking and ended up with this younger one. I heard that too. The first wife was so angry that she had an abortion. When West Ju arrived, he only saw his sobbing assistant and the highly motivated real estate agency arguing. I don't know if his brain was scooped out, or if he felt like he was about to wear a green hat. He gently helped the assistant up, as if he wasn't the one who had been cheated on. Xiao Bai, don't worry. I'll find you a better place. The houses here are too shabby and simply don't match your status. The assistant, as delicate as a lotus flower, collapsed weakly into West Ju's arms. The onlooking elderly men and women scolded them for being shameless, but the two seemed completely oblivious, openly displaying affection in public. The agent, Xiao Liu, was outraged by the scene and recorded all their actions, sending the photos and videos to me. I glanced at the video and immediately tossed it aside, feeling as if my eyes had been tainted by something filthy, and now I need to wash them clean, I thought to myself. These two disgusting creatures should just lock themselves away together and never circulate in the market to disgust anyone else. I skipped straight to the end of the video, always feeling that West Ju's eyes were gleaming with excitement. Could it be that he turned into a pervert after divorcing me? I felt a provocative look in his eyes, but I just found him childish. After blocking yet another unfamiliar phone number, I lay back in the rocking chair, gazing at the brightly lit city of Hangzhou, and dreamed of my bright future. The news of our divorce eventually reached both sets of parents. After a round of relentless phone calls, the message was clear. They wanted me to immediately reconcile and remarry West Ju. The unfolding of this situation was quite similar to my previous life. My dear father, drawn to West Ju's current power and wealth, resorted to emotional blackmail, crying, making a scene, and even threatening self-harm, to pressure me into getting back together with his beloved son-in-law. Aren't all men like that? I made mistakes back in the day too, but didn't your mother stay with me for your sake? Why are you so angry? He just made a mistake that any man could make, didn't he? After all these years, haven't you figured it out yet? Look at those people you've set your sights on. Are any of them better than him? All men go out to have fun, especially someone as wealthy as him. So what if you have to endure a little grievance? And you actually went and got rid of my golden grandson. How could you be so heartless? At first, I read the messages but didn't reply. As the bombardment continued, sometimes I couldn't control my increasingly violent temper. I angrily yelled into the phone, "Since you like his money so much, why don't you just marry him yourself? What kind of talk is that? Do you think a family like your father's would even be considered? Alright, old Wang. Children and grandchildren have their own blessings. We shouldn't interfere too much in their lives. Let the kids handle their own affairs." My mother, who had been silent until now, finally spoke up. "What do you, a rural woman, know about anything? I think you've just been idle at home all day. Look at old Lady Zhong and old Lady Wang. They go out dancing, painting, and even signed up for senior university classes with me. All you do is stay home every day. I'm embarrassed to take you to class reunions. I'd be ashamed." Hearing my father speak these harsh truths, I could feel my temples throbbing. He didn't seem like my father at all, more like West Jew's father. After all these years, I've had enough of his nonsensical words. I couldn't hold back and yelled, "Have you said enough? Dad, do you even know that he cheated on me during my pregnancy? He's eating from the bowl while still eyeing what's in the pot, since he's treated me so terribly. Why should I still be eagerly trying to please him?" The person on the other end of the phone stammered and said, "Xiao Ju came and explained it to us. It was just an act between them, a tactic used by capitalists. Why are you so narrow-minded, being suspicious all the time, overthinking everything? Will only push men further away instead of keeping them under your control. Aren't you happy? He's about to become the chairman of a listed company. You live in a big villa, eat well, drink well, and enjoy yourself without having to lift a finger. If I were you, I'd even find him a few more women. As long as you hold on to the money, what is there to fear?" He let out a deep sigh and tried to play the emotional card again. "Your mother and I are getting old, and we don't know how many years we have left. Now you've gone and had an abortion. What if it harms your body? What man would want you then?" "Enough!" I heard my mother's furious roar from the other end of the line, followed by a series of crashing sounds. "Are you done talking, old Wang? Oh, old Wang, I think you're just obsessed with money. Didn't you hear what our daughter said? She's been wronged. She's been mistreated. Why should she stay with such a disgusting man? If you keep talking like this, we might as well get divorced too." After my mom finished her outburst, my dad didn't dare say another harsh word. With tears in my eyes, I sobbed and told them about what West Jew had done to me. Ever since I had the child, he hasn't come home every day. When my stomach illness flared up and I was convulsing, I had to call 120 myself. I didn't tell you because I was afraid you'd worry. The doctor said if we had arrived any later, both my child and I would have lost our lives. It's not that I didn't call him, it's just that every time the phone was answered, it was a different woman's voice. What exactly am I to him? A canary in a cage, in his eyes. I'm just a plaything, something to amuse himself with when he feels like it, and toss aside when he doesn't. But I'm a person, and I feel pain too. What era does he think this is, still dreaming of being an emperor from the Qing dynasty, imagining himself as some kind of CEO with a harem of 3,000 beauties, and me as his empress? I'm not even treated like an empress at home. He says it's to save money, so we can't hire a nanny, and I have to manage everything at home. What more does he expect from me? After saying that, I hung up the phone. Because of this incident, my dad didn't call to check on me for many days. Instead, my mom started her campaign to reform my dad. What my dad said that day must have stirred up the resentment my mom had been holding inside. Since that day, after hanging up the phone, my mom has become just like my dad at home, slumping on the sofa, not doing any housework, not cooking, and spending every day going out for afternoon tea with her friends, traveling, and taking photos. When she comes home, she either orders takeout or only cooks for herself, completely ignoring my dad. At first, my dad protested for a while, but when he realized my mom was serious, he didn't dare act out anymore. Now, he's even started serving her tea and water, doing the laundry, and cooking. He's even stopped attending his classes at the senior university. Things are looking up. And I've also met my mentor in Hangcheng. This person is my university senior. He started an e-commerce company here and is currently hiring live streaming hosts to sell products. When I saw the post on my social media feed, I didn't hesitate at all and went to his company for an interview the next day. After successfully passing the interview, I called my once best friend, Xiao Jiu. Besides my mom, she was the one who supported me the most in moving to Hangzhou for work. "You were meant to be like this. Youthful, vibrant, and full of energy. What had you become when you were with that scumbag?" Xiao Jiu's words gave me courage. Indeed, the person I used to be would never have imagined I would become who I am today. The old me was daring and adventurous, while the current me is timid and hesitant, afraid to move forward at the slightest sign of trouble. Some kinds of love make people bloom like flowers, while others only cause them to wither and decay. She is a very good video editor. Just doing live stream sales is definitely not enough. I need someone to help me make videos. I naturally know very well that he is highly capable. After finalizing the cooperation, I put on a beautiful makeup and headed to my senior's e-commerce company. Inside the small cubicles, young people were all working hard on live streams, using their silver tongues to introduce the products in their hands, watching the rising numbers in the cubicles. My heart raced along with them. This will be your workstation. From now on, you'll need to do 4 hours of live streaming every day. I have high hopes for you. You were a popular campus goddess back in school, and even now that you're married, your charm hasn't faded a bit. You'll surely be even more successful than we were back then. My senior patted me on the shoulder and said, "Thank you, senior. I will work hard." The next time I heard news of West Jew was the day I sold my first 100,000 unit viral order. Xiao Jiao sent me a video. In the glitzy, neon-lit nightclub, West Jew sat in the main seat, surrounded by the fair-weather friends he'd met at drinking parties. "Brother Jew, congratulations. Your company went public successfully, and you became a billionaire CEO overnight. You're not really going to marry that little assistant, are you, Brother Jew? Your situation has been the talk of our circle. You and your, excuse my words, you and your ex-wife's matter also caused quite a stir. What exactly are you thinking?" West Jew paused with the wine glass in his hand, and in an instant, the glass shattered into pieces on the table. "There's nothing between her and me. Don't believe those rumors you hear outside." The bartender beside him, noticing West Jew's foul mood, immediately flattered him, saying, "You're right. She's already been with someone else. She's tainted now. How could she possibly be worthy of our brother Jew?" After cautiously speaking, the bartender observed West Jew's expression and noticed it hadn't softened at all. Instead, it grew even darker, with a surge of anger flashing in his eyes. It was only then that he realized, could it be that West Jew still had feelings for his ex-sister-in-law? What a damn bastard. "Brother Jew, are you thinking about remarrying your ex-wife? She's really great, beautiful, a campus belle back in the day, well-educated, and family-oriented. Now that you're a billionaire CEO, all you have to do is beckon, and wouldn't she come back? I heard she was just throwing a tantrum back then. I also heard she's working as some kind of e-commerce live streamer now. How can being an e-commerce live streamer compare to being the wife of a billionaire CEO? Besides, the flashy, gaudy outfits she wears on her live streams don't look very decent. There are hardly any viewers in her live stream room, and almost no one is buying anything. Her family members all advised her, saying she was mistaking fish eyes for pearls and was blind to divorce you. Now is when she's most emotionally vulnerable. As long as you go over to coax her and pursue her again, she'll definitely come back to you." The bartender's words made West Jew, who was sitting in the main seat, feel very pleased. "No rush. Let her suffer enough outside first. Then when I win her back, she'll understand that living by my side is the greatest happiness of her life." I clenched my fists as I watched the entire video, the feeling of disgust almost surging up my throat again. If West Jew were standing in front of me right now, I would definitely give him a solid slap across the face, because I sold the first 100,000 unit hit product. The company arranged for me to intern and exchange at a major e-commerce giant. And I truly began my live streaming sales career, although every day was exhausting, with my mouth dry from talking and working until 1 or 2 in the morning being a common occurrence. I kept searching for my own style of selling and gradually found my way, from selling 100,000 to 200,000 yuan per session. I finally reached 1 million yuan. Seeing that I had already mastered the craft, my senior far away in Hangzhou seemed to be getting a bit restless. Watching the increasingly booming numbers in the live stream, I called my senior in Hangzhou and told him that I would return to the company to start streaming in a few days. My senior on the other end of the line had originally intended to persuade me to come back and serve the company after completing my studies. He didn't expect me to be so proactive, so he didn't say much, only assuring me that the company wouldn't treat me unfairly once it started making money. After I returned to Hangzhou, my senior took me to a restaurant by the lake for a meal. When he learned that e-commerce was beginning to rise nationwide, his tone was filled with excitement. We had discussed and settled many issues regarding interests. It was only then that he changed the subject, hesitantly asking, "Why didn't you tell me about your divorce? I only found out about it recently when I attended a class reunion. But this is actually quite good. I heard your matter caused quite a stir. But let's not talk about it anymore. From now on, you'll be our company's top salesperson. By the way, have you heard anything about Westdew recently?" Listening to my senior's nonsensical words, my mind was filled with question marks. Hearing my ex-husband's name so suddenly left me feeling somewhat lost and melancholic. He and I are already in the past, and I'm not really concerned about their affairs anymore, in this bizarre and kaleidoscopic world. Suddenly hearing that detestable name made me feel as if I were in a different lifetime. I wonder if, given another chance at life, those two would end up entangled with each other again. It's always good to hear a bit of gossip like this. Back when the two of you were together, it was nothing short of earth-shattering. Who would have thought it would end like this? If he saw you now as a successful career professional, he'd probably regret it to death. I didn't want to listen to my senior ramble on about the past between the two of us. Those memories had long been crushed to dust and tossed into the river of recollection. After you left, that assistant of his tried everything to climb the ladder, whether it was getting paparazzi photos taken or making investments, but somehow, Westdew remained indifferent to her, even refusing to bring her along to high-profile events. Recently, I heard that the assistant tried to pull a bold move on Westdew, and he ended up firing her outright. I heard such gossip without even blinking, stirring my coffee with my finger, yet it still showed my interest in wanting to hear more. That little assistant lost her glamorous job and, because of the drugging incident, was reported to the police by Westdew. It was later discovered that the powder she bought was smuggled from abroad. So she ended up facing legal charges and is still detained at the police station. After the food was served, I listened with great interest as my senior told me the gossip about the two of them, occasionally commenting that the situation they ended up in was entirely their own fault. Seeing that I wasn't the least bit upset, my senior relaxed and continued, "By the way, I heard from a friend back home that your ex-husband seems to be considering setting up a branch in Hangzhou. Everyone is eyeing the e-commerce live-streaming sales trend these days, so he's probably trying to take another step in that direction. If you don't want to have anything to do with him anymore, you'd better be careful these days and make sure he doesn't catch you here. Thank you for the reminder, Senior." After the meal, I returned to my spacious apartment, gazing at the surging river. My thoughts involuntarily drifted back to Westdew. He never drags his feet when doing things. His purpose is extremely clear. Whatever he sets out to accomplish, he has never failed to achieve it. He is already the president of a listed company, so there's no need for him to stoop and ask my parents where I am. As long as he has a secretary by his side, he can find out where I am in no time. Moreover, I stream live online every day, so he must have heard about it. I'd rather believe he's trying to catch the trend of live streaming than arrogantly assume he doesn't want to let me go. I'd sooner believe that pigs can fly than trust that he has turned over a new leaf, unless he's no longer capable because of the drugging incident. The winter in Hangzhou is different from the north. As long as the sun is out, it feels warm. The temperature outside is the same as inside, and even with the air conditioning on, you can still feel the biting cold. Because I really didn't want to go home and deal with the nagging from my father's relatives, I transferred 20,000 yuan to my parents and told them that I was busy with year-end live streaming sales and couldn't get away, so I wouldn't be going home for the new year. On New Year's Eve, instead of live streaming, I was invited by my hospitable senior to their home for the New Year's Eve dinner, and I also had to play the role of his girlfriend for the occasion. A light white retro lace Peter Pan collar shirt paired with a deep red sweater, a black skirt, a pair of dark brown Martin boots, a candy-colored beret on the head, and sweet makeup on the face. This look really doesn't match my usual style. It doesn't seem like that of a sophisticated woman approaching 30, but more like a sweet girl who just started college. When my senior came to pick me up downstairs, he was completely shocked by my outfit today. "What on earth are you wearing?" My senior exclaimed in surprise. Just as I was about to frown, he sneakily leaned closer to me and said, "Dressed like this, they'll think I'm an old cow eating young grass, dating a girlfriend who just started college." The senior looked me up and down, then pulled out an exquisite suede box from his pocket. "Here, a New Year's gift for you. Don't overthink it. We're the only two working overtime during this spring festival, so it's only right that I get you a little gift." As he spoke, the senior gently put the round pearl earrings on my ears and then pulled out a pair of matching couple scarves from the back of the car, wrapping one around each of us. "Look at you, you're still young, yet you never go out to socialize, you just stay home every day studying live streaming scripts. Money can never be fully earned. If you don't take advantage of your youth to date a few people, what will you do when you get old?" I listened carefully to his incessant chatter beside me. If I weren't so sure he was my senior, I'd have thought he was possessed by my dad, constantly nagging in my ear about when I'd find a partner, as if he'd been paid off by my father. Sigh, if only I could dress up so glamorously too, if I were a young girl. I'd definitely doll myself up every single day. But you, aside from looking all polished during your live streams, you're so disheveled in private. Where's the campus belle vibe? I was aware of his unspoken difficulties, so I didn't tease him further. Instead, I spoke very seriously. "Well, you've always had a knack for spotting trends, otherwise, you wouldn't have caught the wave and started that e-commerce company, earning what feels like your nth pot of gold. My senior has excellent taste." Adding the white scarf didn't make me look too young anymore. When the two of us arrived at his home and met his parents, I finally realized how severe the repression in an intellectual family could be. As he saw me out, he smiled with relief and said, "Sorry you had to see that. My family has always been like this. Otherwise, I wouldn't have rebelled and fallen for a man." I ran into West Jew downstairs at my apartment. I don't know what came over me, but on my way home, I ended up buying more food and clothes than usual. When I looked up, I saw the one person I never wanted to see again in my life. I felt like everything I had just eaten was about to come right back up. "It seems you've been quite happy since leaving me, haven't you?" West Jew's eyes were like an eternal ice cavern, so cold it sent a shiver down my spine. I was about to say something when I noticed snowflakes beginning to fall from the sky. The snow fell heavily, and in no time, it scattered over our heads. We once made a vow, promising to grow old together, but that never came true. Instead, today's snow has allowed us to fulfill that promise of growing old together. He strode over to me, grabbed my wrist tightly, and roughly pushed me against the wall. "Do you know that ever since you left, I haven't been able to sleep? I think about you every day. How can you be so heartless, dressed like a schoolgirl? Where are you going to seduce men? Can't you stand being alone? Why are you so cheap?" Hearing these words, I couldn't hold back and slapped him across the face. "Get out. Are you deaf? I told you to get out. I told you to let go of me. If you keep this up, I'm calling the police." His gaze was fierce, his eyes venomous, looking at me as if I were his father's murderer. I must be truly going mad, but I didn't dare approach or provoke him. So I quietly placed my hands behind my back and dialed the emergency number. "Go ahead and call the police. We're husband and wife, and we'll be husband and wife for life." I took several deep breaths, silently calculating how long it would take for the police to arrive. At the same time, I didn't dare say anything more, afraid of provoking him. This madman who could become utterly reckless when enraged. After a long while, his rationality slowly returned to him. He was just about to tell me something when the sound of a car horn once again triggered his nerves. He immediately grabbed me by the throat and snarled viciously, "How dare you call the police? What does it matter if I get arrested? When I get out, I'll come for you again. You can't escape, Lena." After his outburst, he desperately held me tight again. "Let's reconcile. Let's not keep tormenting each other like this. I can overlook the matter with the child, and I can pretend all those rebellious things you did before never happened. As long as you remarry me, I'll give you everything." To hear him speak to me so humbly in this lifetime, I don't know whether to feel heartbroken or to laugh. In her previous life, she made a fortune by trading Bitcoin and wanted to open a dessert shop in a courtyard house. But he came home drunk and furiously accused her of having an affair and no longer wanting children or him. Seeing him still in such a deranged state, I sighed helplessly and gently patted his shoulder, sensing my response. He flinched, his shoulders trembling slightly. West Jew, we're already divorced. Do you understand what that means? Can't we just part on good terms? We are two independent individuals now, no longer two people entangled with each other. You say you can let go of those things. But I can't. People should always look forward. That's what you said. Let's just release each other. After the police arrived, West Jew remained motionless. I accepted the mediation, and once the police left, he seemed to come back to life, crouching not far from me. Lena, but I regret it now. I can't sleep a single day without you. I can't find my tie anywhere, and I always get stomachaches in the middle of the night. When I come home, there's no one to turn on the light for me, not even a warm meal. I'm begging you, please don't leave me. I really know I was wrong. I know I had many flaws before. You can hit me, scold me, whatever, just please don't blame me anymore, okay? I never actually liked her. The one I've always loved is you. I let out a cold laugh and turned my head calmly, saying, you always used to say I was paranoid, that I overthought things. This time, I want to tell you, it's impossible for us to ever be together again. Your regrets now are meaningless. There's no chance for us to start over. My love for you has long since faded because of the things you did. A marriage without love is like a handful of sand. It scatters with the slightest breeze, counting my past life. I have endured decades of a loveless marriage. Each day of waiting only brought endless humiliation, and I have had enough of this kind of life. Lena, I turned my head and saw my senior standing by the alley. I didn't know when he had arrived or how long he had been watching. He walked toward me step by step, his warm and broad hand enveloping my cold one, and he even handed me a cup of warm milk tea. Yuri refusing to get back with me just because of this pretty boy. No wonder your face fell the moment you saw me. So you've already found a new flame here. Why does he look so familiar? Oh, it's that senior who had a crush on you back in college. West Jew let out a cold laugh. The pitiful version of him from earlier had vanished, replaced by an extremely sarcastic and bitter demeanor. I took a deep breath, directly grabbed my senior's hand, and even planted a kiss on his cheek. That's right, I've set my sights on this older man. I'd rather be with someone older than you and less wealthy than you than be with you again. Even if I end up with a 60-year-old, I will never remarry you. So just give up on your little schemes. Do you really think I want to go back and serve you like a housemaid again? You're truly delusional. Ignoring West Jew's cold stare, I held my senior's hand and carelessly returned to my own home. My words must have hit a nerve. Someone as proud as her had already tried to keep me twice. She probably won't appear in front of me again. The atmosphere at home was indeed a bit awkward. I'm really sorry, Senior. I just used you. Let me treat you to a meal tomorrow. We are good partners and great friends. So there's no need to talk about using each other. That ex-husband of yours is still the same as ever. Arrogant since college days, relying on his family's influence and his own intelligence to look down on others. He's always overestimating himself and underestimating everyone else. He thinks everything should belong to him. But who would always stay by his side waiting for him? Yes, such a simple truth is clear to everyone else, yet he alone remains in the dark, unwilling to come out, sticking to his old ways and ultimately heading toward ruin. Speaking of which, Senior, you are quite an extraordinary person yourself. My encounter with him was all because of West Jew. At that time, West Jew was obsessed with debating. He really enjoyed the feeling of leaving others speechless. As West Jew's little admirer back then, I attended every one of his debate competitions, and that's when I got to know the Senior. In university, the Senior was also a shining presence and the dream guy for many girls. However, he never showed much interest in girls and preferred hanging out with the guys from his dorm instead. Back then, many people even started writing fan fiction about West Jew and the Senior on the school forum. Thinking back now, those times were truly wonderful. Everyone had pure hearts, without any sense of destiny or the idea that it has to be me. The Senior loved reading very much, so he always gave off a gentle and refined vibe, as if he would never get angry with anyone. I had never seen him lose his temper, not even raise his voice, even when his parents spoke to him harshly. He would face them with a smile. Lost in my thoughts, I didn't even notice that he had already left. Not long after he left, the doorbell rang. I got up to open the door and found my mom standing there with a suitcase, her eyes red as she looked at me, who had just poked my head out after opening the door. "Mom, why are you here, sweetie? Your dad and I are getting a divorce. Who do you want to live with?" As soon as my mom entered the room, she dropped a bombshell, even though I'm almost 30 years old. In her eyes, I'm still that little child she's always seen me as. "Since you feel you can't go on like this, then get a divorce. I support you. If the relatives at home say that someone your age wanting a divorce is improper, I'll go back and speak up for you." I patted her hand, made her bed, and then lay down to sleep beside her. "Sweetheart, do you think Mom getting a divorce at this age will embarrass you? If you feel that what I'm doing brings you shame, then I'll go back and live peacefully with your dad." Hearing her words, I felt a pang of heartache. From childhood to adulthood, Mom had given so much to this family. When I was little, she was the one at all the parent-teacher meetings, when I was sick, and on all our outings, while my wonderful dad was only ever at the table playing cards. Later, due to overwork, Mom took early retirement and returned to being a housewife, while Dad endlessly belittled her, making her feel extremely oppressed. Eventually, she passed the exam and left them far behind. In fact, in the previous life, my mother had thought about leaving this family, leaving my father as he was, and what did I say at the time? Because I was busy dealing with West Jew and my own daughter, I neglected my mother. Later, my mother passed away due to long-term depression and pressure. Knowing all this, I feel deeply guilty. In this life, perhaps my divorce gave my mother immense courage. She no longer wants to continue like this. Having lived a life of hardship for so long, she fears she might go mad if it continues. It was only this evening that I learned what kind of difficult life my mother has been living at home after my divorce from West Jew. My father only improved for a short while. After my mother softened her attitude toward him, he began to belittle her even more, making her feel worthless. There were even a few times when his words went too far, and my mother felt like ending her own life. "I really can't take it anymore. If we're getting divorced, then so be it. As long as the divorce goes smoothly, I'm willing to leave with nothing. After all, I still have my retirement pension. If that's not enough, I can find a cleaning job in Hangzhou. I also have some savings, which should be enough for the two of us to live happily." I listened as she calmly recounted her life over the years, word by word, and I felt utterly useless. I couldn't even protect myself, let alone my mother, who had cared for me since I was a child. "My dear child, you must live a better life, a life better than all of theirs. From now on, it's just the two of us relying on each other. No matter what they say, we will live our lives well." Life kept getting better. My mother found a family in Hangzhou to work for as a live-in nanny, earning over 10,000 yuan a month. The employers treated her very well and loved her cooking. Sometimes, she was even reluctant to come back and cook a meal for me. She told me she had found a sense of belonging there. The elderly lady also found out about me and my senior starting a business and opening a company together. She really likes my senior and is always eager to invite him over for meals. Of course, I know what she's thinking. On the day after the Dragon Boat Festival, she brought up the idea of having my senior over for dinner again. I knew I couldn't speak too harshly. After all, she meant well for me. "Your mother has seen plenty of people in her life. Honestly, for someone like you who's been divorced and remarried, your senior is really a good choice. Even though he's this old and has never been married, it doesn't mean there's anything wrong with him physically. Besides, I can tell he still likes you. So you don't have to worry about any unexpected changes in your future relationship." I've also heard about the messy issues in your senior's family. Although in terms of family background, he can't compare to West Jew. He loves you. I heard her words, especially the part where she said he loves you, and I just wanted to laugh. After they had been dragging things out for days, I couldn't hold back any longer. I sat down and calmly discussed the relationship between the two of us. Whether I end up with my senior or not, we will always be good friends, but if I do get together with him, I will be the one at a disadvantage. In the end, I will suffer because of him. How could that be? He doesn't seem like that kind of person. Hearing my ambiguous words, my mother was immediately taken aback and couldn't understand what I was saying at all. Speak more clearly so I won't bother you about finding someone else. I always think that at most, I can only accompany you for another 20 years. What will you do after I'm gone in 20 years? I let out a deep sigh, took her hand, and said, Mom, do you know why my senior and his parents have such a big conflict? Don't you think he doesn't like girls? No matter how much he likes me, his true nature won't change, and he'll have to balance the relationship between me and his real lover. Even if we keep to ourselves and don't interfere with each other, there will inevitably be friction. If I stay with him, the one who ends up suffering will always be me. I really don't want to fall into the quagmire of internal conflict anymore. My senior also has his own unattainable love, and they can't be together openly because of societal judgment. If the two of them ever break through that boundary in the future, I would definitely wish them well. I can't be with him, and finding someone else to marry is already a very difficult thing. If I end up marrying someone who truly cares for me, that would be one thing. But if I have to marry someone like West Jew, wouldn't I be doomed? I'm now somewhat of a business person, and I also weigh gains and losses as well as costs. If I were to get married again, I would have to give even more, so not getting married is the right path. A woman's value is not reflected in marriage, but in who we are ourselves. We work hard to earn money not for our children or our husbands, but so that we can live better lives. Not be crushed by others' gossip, use our own money to enrich ourselves, and become better by nurturing our inner selves. Mom, we have a car, a house, and money. Why are we so eager to serve those arrogant men like maids? My mother nodded faintly. At that time, she agreed with what I said and worked even harder, saying she wanted to save enough money to travel the world, not wanting to care in the slightest about my old father's well-being. In fact, we both understood that as long as we live a fulfilling and happy life, any way of living is valid. The daily necessities of life could no longer become chains that bind us. After we cleared the air about the whole situation, my mother looked at my senior with even more fervor. She treated him like a son every day, sometimes even more affectionately than she treated me. To better expand my career horizons, I also started creating short videos. Live streaming combined with short videos has brought me into a higher world, allowing my income to reach new heights. In the era before the lipstick king rose to fame, I had already taken the lead and left everyone in the dust, gaining experience in the e-commerce industry. After the business gradually stabilized, West Jew came crawling back like a disgusting bug, openly pursuing me again. My seniors and my new company is located by the riverside of Hangcheng, offering a proper river view. It's very beautiful and full of artistic atmosphere. The main reason is that it was converted from an abandoned warehouse, so the rent was cheap. Later, when I made money, I bought this piece of land. This person orders a bouquet of 99 white roses every day. I know the language of white roses means I am worthy of you, and you are the only one I am worthy of. Every time I see these 99 white roses, I only feel disgusted. I always give them away to every female employee in the company. Sometimes I even carry the bouquet and give it to passers-by or street cleaners on the street. When the building by the river lit up with my name, the anger in my heart reached its peak. Whether it's a bitter flesh scheme or the cliché plot of a domineering CEO falling in love with me, I've seen it all. I won't give him a single pleasant expression ever again. Even if he talks until the sky falls, I could never get back together with him. Those old scars are still deeply rooted in my heart. How could I possibly ignore them? I don't believe in broken mirrors being mended, nor do I think a forcibly picked melon will taste sweet just because you take a bite. Once something is broken, it's broken. Things forced back together can never be truly good. I just never expected that the wheel of fortune would turn so quickly. In less than a year, it came back around to West Jew. Perhaps this is the destined cause and effect. We were always meant to be a toxic match. But this time, I'll take an axe and cut this tangled red thread myself. Seeing that I completely ignored his attempts to reconcile, he began trying other strategies. From that day on, gifts kept piling up on my desk, from big items like bags to small ones like milk tea. Each day brought something different. I would give the milk tea to my colleagues, and the bags I simply threw into the trash bin by the door. He had probably never seen my eyes so cold or my actions so indifferent. Unable to bear it any longer, he rushed back to his hometown and brought my dad over. He thought the bond between my dad and me was strong enough to uproot the thorn in my heart. But he didn't realize that the closeness we once shared in childhood had long faded, replaced by distance and indifference. Lena, be good, okay? Do this one more thing for your dad. Reconcile with West Jew. He truly loves you. I've seen everything he's done these past days. If he didn't love you, why would he humble himself and come back to beg for your forgiveness? When I heard these words, my mind went completely blank. Why can't you stand firmly by my side just once? Why do you always side with outsiders? Am I not your own daughter? I spoke these words with great sorrow, words I had wanted to say for over 20 years, in fact, including my previous life. It's been more than just these 20-odd years. In my past life, it felt as though I was trapped between two enormous nets. One was my father's reputation, and the other was the coercion from West Jew. I struggled within these two immense webs, and in the end, it led me to suicide. But how could they naively believe that in this life, I could still be manipulated at their whim? What do they even see me as in their eyes? Even a cat or a dog has feelings, let alone me, a living, breathing person. Just as I was sinking into deep self-conflict, my mom, like a superhero, quickly stepped in front of me and slapped my dad hard. I've been wanting to slap you for a long time. You used to have a good job, but you lost it because of gambling. Later, we started a family, and you cheated on me countless times. Yet I forgave you every time. Your male chauvinism, your belittling of me, treating me like a maid, your family's preference for sons over daughters, I endured it all. But why do you still haunt and harass me and our daughter? I was stunned by my mother's words. So all these years, I was the one who was wrong. My father wasn't great or impressive like other fathers. Compared to them, he was even more rotten and foul. Didn't I tell you before I left not to disturb me and our daughter's lives anymore? If you break this agreement, you'll have to pay me compensation, and I will sue you according to the law. After saying this, my mother took me and left. Only those two remained, standing alone by the river and the wilderness, letting the wind blow past them. Later, my father slunk back to his hometown, married one of his former mistresses, and had a son with her. Apart from the fixed amount the court requires me to pay each month, I don't give them a single extra cent. My mother has also become much happier. She quit her job as a nanny and now spends her days traveling across the country with her friends, living a carefree life. She has long since forgotten the accumulated pain of the past, and West Jew still lingers like a haunting ghost. Once I had earned enough money, I brought my mother to her favorite place, Cloud City. Here, I bought an estate with pleasant scenery and a spring-like climate all year round. The estate is filled with all the fruits, vegetables, and flowers that my mother loves, which sometimes makes me wonder whether it's a vegetable market or an orchard. We truly began our retirement life. And from time to time, I would help nearby farmers by hosting poverty alleviation live streams to assist them in selling their products and earning money. Later, I heard that my father's relationship with his mistress didn't turn out well either. He was no longer young, and the money he earned was dwindling day by day. My stepmother, being shrewd and capable, had long had her eyes on my assets. However, I had already made a will stating that if anything were to happen to my mother and me, all the money would be donated to charity. Not a single penny would go to them. Those two are always fighting, neither giving an inch to the other. My younger brother has also reached his teenage years, becoming very rebellious and no longer resembling my father. As he grew older, he became increasingly suspicious. He secretly took the boy's hair for a paternity test, and to his surprise, the results showed that the boy was indeed not his biological son. This sparked another world war of conflict. During the argument, my father became so agitated that he suffered a stroke and collapsed. Fortunately, he was saved, but he will have to rely on a wheelchair for the rest of his life. I made a special trip back to deal with the matter. In his eyes, I could see both guilt and shame. Before I left, I asked my mother if she wanted to go back and see him, but she refused the request. She is also about to start a new life. There is someone by her side who cares for her like a father. Not for money but for the person. I have also looked into it, and that uncle is a very good person who will definitely treat my mother well. The The two of them won't be lonely in their later years. Day by day, aside from visiting my father once a year, I spend most of my time in Yuncheng. I hired a butler for my estate. I showed a photo of West Jew to every applicant for the servant positions, making sure he doesn't set foot near the estate, let alone step inside. I lived a reclusive life and never saw West Jew again, until we both reached middle age. When I was 48, I suddenly saw a news report. The well-known wealthy man West Jew had died suddenly at home, still holding his divorce certificate from his ex-wife in his hand. I looked at the news broadcast on TV and immediately turned it off. I glanced at the phone and answered it. It turned out that before his death, West Jew had made a will, intending to transfer most of his fortune to me. I sneered and directly told the lawyer on the other end to donate all the money to charity. I would not accept it. It never belonged to me, and I would feel tainted if I took it. The Jew family took turns calling me, hoping I could see him one last time. It was his only wish. I didn't answer any of them. Nor did I attend his funeral. As I said before, in this life and the next, we shall never meet again. I am Zhu Xiaoya, the only child of West Jew and Wang Lina. After handling my mother's funeral and returning home, I saw that seductress sitting on the sofa. She was proudly flaunting her pregnant belly, declaring war against me and my deceased mother. I certainly wasn't going to indulge her. So I directly threw the photos of her with someone else right in her face. As you can see, the child in her belly is indeed not my father's. I also threw the hospital test results proving azoospermia right in her face. She screamed in disbelief, repeatedly saying it was impossible, that my father was so healthy and couldn't possibly have any illness, and that once powerful West Jew, who is my father, stood there woodenly observing every plant and object in the villa. All of these had been meticulously cared for by my mother, and traces of her were everywhere. As I watched him wailing over my mother, I couldn't hold back and slapped him hard across the face. What kind of affection are you pretending to have now? My mother has been married to you for so many years. Have you ever respected her even once? Whenever she wanted to do something, you would always oppose her and even belittle her. How could such a bright and sunny person end up with this kind of illness? It's all because you pushed her into the abyss. Little by little, you can't blame anyone else, you can only blame yourself. You said you had no relationship with that woman. But in the end, you still had a child with her. You even made my mother take care of her when she had a miscarriage. You say you love her. Is this love? This is clearly an insult. I didn't want West Jew to have it easy. So I threw my mother's diary in his face. He frantically picked up the diary from the ground and read it page by page, until he finally collapsed from overwhelming emotion. After he had the stroke, I took control of the company and kicked out all of the little assistant's relatives. Those people still wanted to seek justice from me, but the evidence I gathered scared them so much that they hid at home, too afraid to show their faces. How could I possibly let them off? I directly submitted the evidence to the judicial authorities and had every single one of them arrested. The little assistant, seeing how things had turned out, stumbled to the nursing home to find West Jew, only to discover that he had long since become senile, with the mental capacity of a 5-year-old. Constantly muttering about Wang Lina, a few years later, he unexpectedly called me one day, saying that everything he had done over the years was wrong and that he was going to find my mother. I scolded him harshly, telling him he wasn't worthy. He had disgusted my mother for so many years. How could I possibly let him rest peacefully by her side? He left with the diary in hand. When he woke up again, he found himself back to the time just after his divorce. He slapped himself hard twice and went after her like a madman, but he discovered that there was already another man by her side. Even though that man didn't love her, she still insisted on being with him. His rationality shattered, leading him to make even worse mistakes, which resulted in her never wanting to see him again in this lifetime. But when he died once more, even with the temptation of a fortune, she didn't bother to look at him again. In this life, we have ultimately achieved never seeing each other again. At this moment, he finally realized that he was truly wrong. She really didn't love him anymore.